Life is a journey filled with highs and lows, triumphs and setbacks. It is a constant battle between our inner strengths and weaknesses. We all aspire to live a life of purpose, resilience, and fulfillment. Yet, there are habits that quietly undermine our progress and rob us of our true potential. In this video, we will explore 8 habits that make you weak and learn how to overcome them through the ancient wisdom of Stoicism. Stoicism is a timeless philosophy founded by Zeno of Citium in the 3rd century BC, teaching us how to navigate life's complexities with wisdom, courage, self-discipline, and tranquility. It encourages us to focus on what we can control, cultivate inner virtues, and accept life's inevitable challenges with grace. As we delve into these 8 habits, remember that self-awareness is the first step toward transformation. Ask yourself, are you living up to your full potential, or do these habits hold you back? Stick with us to the end, and you will discover practical Stoic principles that can transform your life. The journey ahead will empower you to replace these weaknesses with strength, purpose, and inner peace. 1. Seeking external validation. Are you constantly searching for others' approval? Do you feel like your self-worth is tied to how others perceive you? This habit is more common than you may realize, especially in today's world where social media metrics measure worth. The problem is, when you rely on external validation, you surrender your power to those around you, becoming dependent on their changing opinions. Stoic philosophy reminds us that true contentment and self-worth come from within. The Stoics, thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, advocated for the development of inner virtues such as wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. These virtues do not rely on the acceptance or approval of others. They are cultivated and nurtured within oneself, regardless of external circumstances. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." Consider what this implies about how we live our lives. Are we truly acting according to our values, or are we enslaved to others' judgments? Breaking the habit. To overcome the habit of seeking external approval, begin by reflecting on why you feel the need for others' validation. Are you measuring your worth through others' eyes because you doubt your own abilities? Or are you simply unaware that the true measure of a person lies not in what others say, but in what one accomplishes and how one lives according to their own principles? Once you recognize this tendency, focus on shifting your perspective. Practice self-awareness by evaluating your actions based on Stoic virtues, not on others' praise or criticism. Embrace the idea that your worth is determined by your character and actions, not the fleeting opinions of the crowd. Instead of seeking approval, seek to cultivate your own sense of inner satisfaction through personal growth and alignment with your values. Reflect on your own life. Are there moments when you've felt disheartened by the lack of recognition for your efforts? How did it impact your self-esteem? Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts on how you've managed to break free from the need for validation. Or if you're still struggling with this habit, let us know how Stoic teachings could help you. Understanding that we must validate ourselves rather than rely on others is a significant step toward inner freedom. But what happens when we shy away from facing life's challenges altogether? Let's move on to explore the habit of avoiding discomfort and how it undermines our growth. 2. Avoiding challenges. Why do we often prefer to stay in our comfort zones? Is it because we fear failure or judgment, or perhaps because we seek to avoid discomfort at all costs? Whatever the reason, avoiding challenges is a habit that keeps us stagnant and weakens our potential for growth. According to Stoicism, challenges and difficulties are not to be feared, but embraced as opportunities for self-improvement. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, emphasized that Difficulties are things that show a person what they are. It is through hardship and adversity that we develop virtues like courage, patience, and resilience. When we shield ourselves from discomfort, we deny ourselves the chance to grow stronger. Consider the Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, or the visualization of potential challenges. By mentally preparing for difficulties, we reduce their power over us and equip ourselves to face them with a calm, rational mind. This proactive approach allows us to step outside our comfort zones, face our fears, and expand our boundaries. Taking action against avoidance. How can you start embracing challenges today? Begin by identifying areas in your life where you tend to choose the easier path. Perhaps it's avoiding a difficult conversation, not pursuing a new career opportunity because it seems daunting, or neglecting personal fitness because it's uncomfortable. Once you recognize these areas, set small goals to push yourself beyond your limits. Remember that the Stoic approach is not about seeking suffering for its own sake, but rather about confronting discomfort to build strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This means that the very obstacles you face can become your path to growth if you approach them with the right mindset. Think about a time when you avoided a challenge. What were the consequences? Were there any lost opportunities for growth? Share your story in the comments below. By reflecting on your experiences and learning from them, you can inspire others who may be facing similar struggles. Learning to embrace challenges sets the stage for true growth and resilience. However, when our inner dialogue is filled with negativity, we create yet another barrier to our progress. Let's explore how negative self-talk can weaken us and how we can adopt Stoic principles to overcome it. 3. Negative self-talk. How often do you catch yourself saying things like, "I'm not good enough," "I always mess things up," or "I'll never succeed"? Negative self-talk is a pervasive habit that eats away at self-belief and erodes our confidence. It is a form of self-sabotage that weakens our resolve and prevents us from realizing our potential. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of taking control over our thoughts and replacing irrational beliefs with reasoned ones. Marcus Aurelius said, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." If we constantly feed ourselves with negative self-talk, we are shaping a reality where we believe we are less than we truly are. But when we challenge these thoughts with rationality, we reclaim our power. The Stoics taught that emotions arise from our judgments about events, not the events themselves. By changing the way we perceive situations, we can alter our emotional responses. For example, instead of thinking, "I failed because I'm not smart enough," shift your perception to, "This setback is a learning opportunity, and I will grow from it." Steps to overcome negative self-talk. To start combating negative self-talk, follow these steps. Awareness. Notice when you engage in self-criticism. Pay attention to the language you use and the frequency of these thoughts. Challenge the thought. Ask yourself if there is evidence to support this negative belief. Is it a rational thought, or is it driven by fear and insecurity? Replace with rational affirmations. Use statements that focus on growth, such as, "I am learning and improving every day," or "I am capable of overcoming this challenge." The Stoic approach is about redirecting our thoughts toward what is virtuous and within our control. By doing so, we break free from the chains of self-doubt and build a stronger, more resilient mindset. What kinds of negative thoughts tend to dominate your mind? How have they impacted your life? Share your experiences below, and let's discuss how the Stoic practice of challenging irrational beliefs can help you develop a more empowering inner dialogue. As we learn to control our thoughts and silence self-criticism, we must also recognize the dangers of dwelling on past mistakes. Now, let's move on to understand how focusing on the past can hinder our progress and how Stoicism teaches us to let go. 4. Dwelling on past mistakes. Why do we find ourselves constantly replaying past failures in our minds? Do you feel trapped in a cycle of regret, guilt, and self-blame? Dwelling on past mistakes can make you stagnant, preventing you from moving forward and enjoying the present moment. In Stoicism, the past is viewed as something beyond our control, and it is considered irrational to waste time and energy ruminating on what cannot be changed. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, stated, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This means that while we cannot change the past, we can choose how to interpret and respond to it. Dwelling on mistakes strengthens feelings of regret and reinforces negative emotions, such as shame or disappointment. These emotions cloud our judgment and weaken our ability to live virtuously. Instead, Stoicism encourages us to view mistakes as lessons rather than failures, opportunities for growth rather than reasons for despair. How can we begin to let go of the past? Start by practicing self-compassion. Understand that making mistakes is part of being human. No one is exempt from error. Instead of condemning yourself for what has happened, ask, "What can I learn from this?" By approaching past mistakes with a mindset of growth, you can transform regret into a valuable experience that shapes your character. Practicing mindfulness can also help you stay grounded in the present. The Stoic practice of focusing on the here and now redirects your attention from unchangeable events to current actions that can improve your life. Ask yourself, am I fully present, or am I allowing the past to rob me of today's potential? Practical steps to stop dwelling on the past. Reflect without judgment. Take time to reflect on your past without blaming yourself. Acknowledge the mistake, identify the lesson, and move forward with a commitment to improve. Practice mindfulness. Engage in mindfulness exercises to help bring your focus back to the present. This can be as simple as taking a few deep breaths and noticing your surroundings. Adopt a growth mindset. View setbacks as opportunities for growth. Remember that each experience, even those filled with difficulty, is a stepping stone toward greater understanding and self-mastery. Have you ever felt like your past mistakes define you? How do you manage to stay present and learn from them without being overwhelmed by regret? Share your experiences in the comments, and let's discuss how Stoicism can provide you with the tools to move forward. Accepting the past and focusing on the present helps cultivate a mindset geared toward growth. However, another common habit that holds us back is an excessive attachment to material possessions. Let's explore how materialism can weaken us and how to detach from it for a more fulfilling life. 5. Indulging in excessive materialism. In a world driven by consumerism, it's easy to equate material wealth with happiness. How many times have you found yourself believing that acquiring the latest gadget or luxury item will bring you lasting fulfillment? The truth is, indulging in excessive materialism only serves to weaken our character and lead us further away from inner peace. Stoicism teaches us that the pursuit of material possessions is a distraction from the cultivation of inner virtues. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, "Remember that very little is needed to make a happy life." The emphasis in Stoic philosophy is on valuing ethics, wisdom, courage, and self-control over external things. Material goods are temporary and ultimately beyond our control, and when we attach our self-worth to them, we become vulnerable to constant dissatisfaction. Seneca, another well-known Stoic philosopher, argued that the desire for material wealth arises from a mistaken belief that possessions can fill an inner void. However, the more we accumulate, the more we crave, and this cycle of desire leads to perpetual discontent. The Stoics teach us to distinguish between needs and desires, recognizing that true contentment comes from within. Breaking free from the cycle of materialism. How can you begin to detach yourself from the grip of materialism? Start by practicing gratitude for what you already have. Reflect on the fact that material items are merely tools for living and not the source of happiness itself. When you realize that your worth is not tied to what you own, you can redirect your energy toward developing virtues and building meaningful relationships. Practicing minimalism is another effective way to combat materialism. Simplify your life by letting go of possessions that do not serve a purpose or bring value. This doesn't mean abandoning everything you own, but rather understanding the role of possessions in your life and keeping only what adds genuine value. Steps to overcome materialism. Practice gratitude. Make a daily habit of acknowledging what you are grateful for beyond material possessions. Focus on aspects such as relationships, personal growth, and experiences. Embrace minimalism. Evaluate your belongings and ask, does this add value to my life? Keep only what serves a purpose or brings joy. Redirect your focus. Prioritize the development of inner virtues over the accumulation of wealth. Remember that qualities like wisdom, justice, and courage are within your control and lead to lasting satisfaction. Reflect on your relationship with material possessions. Do you find yourself constantly wanting more, or have you learned to find contentment with less? Share your thoughts in the comments and let's explore how adopting Stoic principles of detachment can lead to a more fulfilled life. Once we understand the limitations of material wealth, it's easier to appreciate the value of internal virtues. However, if we constantly seek external validation, we risk weakening our sense of self. Next, let's discuss why relying on the opinions of others can be detrimental to living a life aligned with Stoicism. 6. Inability to cope with negative emotions. Do you often find yourself overwhelmed by anger, jealousy, or fear? Negative emotions can be powerful forces that cloud our judgment and disrupt our tranquility. If left unchecked, they can dominate our actions and lead us away from a life of virtue. Stoicism teaches us that emotions themselves are not inherently bad. Rather, it is our response to them that determines their impact on our lives. According to the Stoics, emotions arise from our judgments about external events, not from the events themselves. If we perceive an event as harmful or unjust, we may experience anger or fear. However, by changing our perception, we can alter our emotional response. The concept of apatheia, often misunderstood as complete emotional detachment, refers to a state of being free from the domination of irrational passions. It does not mean the absence of emotions, but rather the ability to maintain a balanced and rational mind in the face of life's challenges. This approach allows us to acknowledge negative emotions without allowing them to dictate our actions. Strategies for coping with negative emotions. Cultivate mindfulness. Pay attention to your thoughts and feelings as they arise. When you notice negative emotions, acknowledge them without judgment and seek to understand their source. Ask yourself, what judgment am I making that is causing this emotion? Question your evaluations. When a negative emotion arises, examine whether it is based on a rational assessment of the situation. Are you reacting to the event itself or to your interpretation of it? By questioning your evaluations, you can develop a more balanced perspective. Practice self-reflection. Regularly reflect on your emotional experiences and consider how they align with your values. Did you react impulsively, or did you respond with wisdom and self-control? This practice helps you recognize patterns and improve your emotional management over time. Embrace serenity as a Stoic ideal. In Stoicism, serenity comes from understanding that we cannot control external events, but we can control our responses. By accepting that some things are beyond our power, we reduce the impact of negative emotions on our lives. Instead of being consumed by anger or fear, we learn to respond with patience and rationality. Have you struggled with managing negative emotions? What techniques have helped you stay composed during challenging times? Share your experiences in the comments, and let's discuss how Stoic teachings can help cultivate emotional resilience. Developing the ability to cope with negative emotions strengthens your inner fortitude. Yet, when we procrastinate, we waste the time and opportunities we have to put our Stoic ideals into action. Let's now explore how procrastination can weaken our resolve and what we can do to overcome it. 7. Procrastination. How often do you find yourself delaying important tasks, telling yourself, "I'll do it tomorrow," or "I'll start later when I feel ready"? Procrastination is a common habit that weakens our resolve, wastes precious time, and ultimately prevents us from achieving our goals. It is often fueled by fear of discomfort or uncertainty, leading to a vicious cycle where we keep postponing what needs to be done. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of carpe diem, or seizing the day. The Stoics recognized that time is a finite resource, and the present moment is the only time we truly have control over. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This quote is not meant to evoke fear, but to remind us of the urgency of living fully and intentionally without succumbing to procrastination. Epictetus, another renowned Stoic philosopher, advised that we focus on what is within our control and release our anxieties about outcomes. He believed that procrastination often arises from our fixation on future uncertainties rather than concentrating on the task at hand. By directing our attention to the process instead of worrying about potential difficulties, we can break free from the chains of procrastination. Practical steps to overcome procrastination. Set small, achievable goals. When a task feels overwhelming, break it down into smaller, manageable steps. Focus on completing each step one at a time rather than fixating on the entire project. Ask yourself, what is one small action I can take right now to make progress? Embrace discomfort. Recognize that procrastination often arises from a desire to avoid discomfort. When you feel the urge to postpone a task, pause and reflect on what you are trying to avoid. Accept the discomfort as part of the process and remind yourself that growth occurs in challenging moments. Use the Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum. Visualize the potential difficulties that could arise from the task, but instead of letting these possibilities deter you, use them to prepare your mind for action. This Stoic exercise trains you to anticipate obstacles and face them with a calm, proactive approach. Focus on the present action. As the Stoics teach, the present moment is all we have. When you feel overwhelmed, bring your attention back to what you can do right now. Instead of worrying about the outcome, concentrate on taking the next step. How does procrastination show up in your life? Do you find it challenging to take action even when you know it is necessary? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's discuss how applying Stoic principles can help overcome procrastination and make better use of our time. By tackling procrastination and focusing on the present, we build a stronger resolve to pursue our goals. But true strength also comes from our ability to connect with others and recognize our shared humanity. Ignoring the well-being of others weakens our practice of Stoicism. Let's explore why and how we can cultivate a more empathetic and interconnected approach to life. 8. Ignoring the well-being of others. Do you find yourself so absorbed in your own life that you forget about the needs and suffering of others? While focusing on personal goals and growth is important, neglecting the well-being of those around us can weaken our sense of empathy and disconnect us from the broader human community. Stoicism emphasizes the idea of cosmopolitanism, which teaches that we are all part of a larger human community. The Stoics believed that our actions should reflect an understanding of our interconnectedness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "We are made for cooperation, like feet, like hands, like eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth." This highlights the idea that just as different parts of the body work together, so too should individuals contribute to the well-being of others. The practice of empathy and compassion aligns with the Stoic virtue of justice. It encourages us to recognize the dignity and worth of every individual, understanding that our actions should contribute to the common good. Ignoring the welfare of others goes against this principle, leading to a self-centered life that ultimately limits our personal growth and moral development. How to cultivate empathy and contribute to the well-being of others. Practice active listening. When interacting with others, give them your full attention. Listen not just to respond, but to understand their perspective. Ask yourself, am I fully present with this person, or am I distracted by my own thoughts? Active listening fosters deeper connections and a greater sense of empathy. Engage in acts of kindness. Small gestures of kindness, such as helping someone in need, offering words of encouragement, or simply being considerate, can make a significant difference. These acts not only benefit the recipient, but also reinforce your commitment to living a virtuous life. Reflect on the common humanity. Stoicism teaches that we are all interconnected. Reflect on the idea that the struggles of others could easily be your own, and that you share a common human experience. This practice helps to develop a sense of compassion and encourages actions that support the well-being of others. Use your strengths to benefit the community. Identify ways in which you can contribute to the welfare of others using your unique talents and resources. Whether it's volunteering, mentoring, or supporting a cause you believe in, putting your strengths to use for the benefit of others cultivates a deeper sense of purpose. The role of benevolence in Stoic practice. Benevolence is not about seeking recognition or reward, but about acting in alignment with Stoic values of justice and cooperation. When we recognize that our actions affect the lives of others, we see the value in being kind and just. By contributing to the well-being of others, we not only strengthen our character, but also create a more compassionate and ethical world. Have you found ways to incorporate kindness and empathy into your daily life? Do you struggle with being fully present for others? Share your experiences in the comments, and let's discuss how the Stoic practice of cosmopolitanism can guide us toward living a more connected and meaningful life. By embracing the interconnectedness of all people and practicing benevolence, we align ourselves with Stoic ideals that lead to a life of virtue and inner peace. As we have explored, each of these 8 habits weakens us in different ways, but through the guidance of Stoic philosophy, we can transform these weaknesses into sources of strength. Throughout this journey, we have explored 8 habits that weaken us and have learned how to overcome them using the principles of Stoicism. Each habit, whether it is seeking external validation, avoiding challenges, engaging in negative self-talk, dwelling on past mistakes, indulging in materialism, struggling with negative emotions, procrastinating, or ignoring the well-being of others, can be transformed by applying Stoic wisdom to our daily lives. The teachings of Stoicism encourage us to focus on what we can control, develop inner virtues, and embrace the inevitable difficulties of life with courage and resilience. As you move forward, remember that this transformation requires consistent effort and self-reflection. Be patient with yourself and persist in practicing Stoic principles every day. If you found this video helpful, please leave a comment sharing which habit you struggle with the most and how you plan to overcome it using Stoic teachings. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with anyone who may benefit from these insights. Let's continue to learn, grow, and support one another on this path toward a more purposeful, resilient, and tranquil life. Thank you for watching, and may you find strength and wisdom in your journey toward living a life guided by Stoic principles. Seize the day and transform your life with Stoicism.